Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on what time you're watching this. My name's Connor from 905 Review. You guys are checking out our series Give This a Spin, where I recommend you some of my favorite albums. Today we're going to have some fun with Chad VanGaalen, the world's most stressed out gardener.
When I came back later, it was missing, of course, as anybody
Chad VanGaalen is a highly ambitious, multi-instrumentalist indie artist from out in Calgary, with what feels like an endless catalog. His 2004 homemade album Infinite Heart was released on the then new label Flemish Eye. It was so new, as a matter of fact, that this was the first album ever put out by them, and it ended up getting picked up by Sub Pop for international distribution. Chad's career got off to a good trajectory with his second album, Skella Connection, being nominated for a Polaris Music Prize in Canada, as well as one of its songs being featured in the hit drama The O.C. His next album, Soft Airplane, might have been his most successful, being nominated for a Juno, being dubbed the second best album of 2009 by Canadian publisher Exclaim, and it also had a song go to good use, this time to the video game Skate 3. His following albums wouldn't garner as much hype, so this leaves us much further down the road with 2021's World's Most Stressed Out Gardener. The album opens on a fun, melodic note with Spider Milk.
How it goes on and on, how it goes on and on.
Early on, we get the sense that we're really in for something neo-psychedelic, and it spontaneously jumps into something more active halfway through. The conclusion of that takes us to Flute Piece, a short little interlude into the third song. So there was a lot of brainstorming that went into this album, and so this survived the album's original concept of being a minimalistic flute album. Starlight continues where Flute Piece left off, playing easily, peacefully, and with some comforting sounds in there just to make it sound and feel like we're out in nature. The drums and bass then come in, prompting everything to unite into one beat. There's some lyricism in here that I'm fond of, and the inclusion of the guitar in the third verse, which feels like it would be the song's chorus if the song had a chorus, just adds a bit more charm to it. And Chad gives us a decent guitar solo to go out with too. This peaceful mood continues with the next one, Where Is It All Going? And that comes in spite of some pretty apathetic lyrics, though I suppose it could feel like you're just drifting on, just much more relaxing than you might have anticipated.
We would like to believe the song we're singing, but the words feel like they've got no meaning.
And that easy drifting feeling is even amplified with the guitar at the bridge of the song. Like, all I can picture hearing this is just floating on an inflatable at the beach as the sun begins to set. Some dreamy synths take over the sound to begin Earth from a Distance. It feels so wide-eyed and just full of wonder, and how in space one might see Earth from a distance. Staring at you because you're my world. But even just laying in the grass and stargazing to this would be neat, and it would make for such a nice moment because it feels like time just slows down when this is on. I was surprised that 5 minutes had passed by the time the song was done. And that sets up the first side of the record to end on Night Waves. It's got a fun drive to it with all sorts of percussion throughout. And through this groove, Chad is harping on riding the night wave, his own terminology for doom scrolling, which for my older friends is when you just continuously scroll through social media when really there's nothing of substance there. In the chorus he sings, "Isn't your machine calling you now?" which feels like a statement on the people, and of course younger people mostly, who really can't sit still without their phone, almost as if it's become like a natural reaction to reach for it the second you have like nothing going on, nothing to stimulate your brain, right? So to open the second side of the record, we have plant music. Hang on a second. Haven't we covered this before already? It's another calming tune as a cello, perhaps, leads the way. This then brings us to Nothing is Strange. And par for the chorus, it's another calming song, even with some ominous lyricism, delivered through VanGaalen's creaking voice. That is followed by the more tense and upbeat drive of Inner Fire. The moody bass line, the lead synth, VanGaalen's borderline monotone delivery, it makes for a bit of a spooky feel, so I think this might be a good pick for like your next Halloween party. You know what? I'm actually going to double down on that because later on he tosses in an organ and some choir-like singing. And I got pretty into this one during my study of this album. Like, it might have become my favorite song on the album right there and then. A little jam sees the song out, leading to the 10th track, Golden Pear. It's a bit of a whimsical one, and with some perplexing imagery on top of that.
And the Mars base was also gone, so the solar system laughed, ha ha, and all the sun could do was yawn.
But even through this confusion, Chad manages to keep the mood light for another nice tune. We keep things weird on the next one though, Nightmare Scenario. It's more upbeat and with a fun vocal melody. But you give it a little bit of time and the song picks up into something steadier. More steady. Steadier? Is that even a word? That neat percussion continues on with Samurai Sword. Chad singing about a samurai sword that he's misplaced and all the cool features about it. And it's possible that there's something deeper here, that this is a metaphor for something, but with the character he is, this could very well just be all literal. Plus, worst of all, the sword's on loan from a friend.
After leaning up beside the outhouse door, when I came back later, it was missing, of course. Has anybody seen a samurai sword?
It's just a fun, goofy little song. So now the album ends with Water Brother, and like so much of the album, it's just a calm, easygoing one to go out with. Complete with strings, xylophone, heavenly singing, and lots of reverb. It's actually quite zen before ending on a bit of an anxious strings outro. World's Most Stressed Out Gardener is available for digital download, on CD, or this exclusive vinyl. Chad VanGaalen isn't exactly a household name. His most streamed song on Spotify is under 500,000 streams, so It's no surprise this album isn't exactly reputable, but the reviews for it are fairly consistent and in a positive manner. I glossed over it earlier, but World's Most Stressed Out Gardener went through a couple of changes in the creation process, going from a minimalistic flute record to something more electronic and eventually getting lost somewhere in the middle. But maybe most impressive of that is that with how diverse a sound that makes for this album, I wouldn't say any one song stands out in a way like as if it doesn't belong here. I've mentioned a number of times now what a comfy listen this album is, but it's a quirky one at the same time. So with that being said, I feel like there might be a niche group of people who this album might be totally up their alley, but of course, not for everybody. With everything in mind, I'm going to be stamping World's Most Stressed Out Gardener with a B grading. Though I do enjoy it, none of the songs really wowed me too much. I don't think there's many of them that I would go out of my way to listen to, though that's not to say I would mind them if, say, they happen to come on shuffle, but it's definitely more of an album that I would listen to as an album, start to finish, right? Just whenever the mood's right for it, every once in a while. But those are my thoughts on Chad VanGaalen and this effort of his. Let me know yours. As always, I've appreciated hosting you, and maybe you'll stick around for another. Or maybe you've already seen all the others. Then I'll see you next week. Or maybe regardless, I'll see you next week. You'll figure it out. But real quick, before we take off, what did you think of this album? Did I rate it too high or did I rate it too low? You let me know down below, as well as any other comments you might want to share, or even any albums you might want me to check out. Till next time, friends. Appreciate you.